Leonard Leo has single-handedly changed the face of the judiciary under the auspices of Ed Meese and many of the people who started the Federalist Society. He has many hats. That isn't even all he does. He doesn't really tell all that he does, but I know enough to know the man is a force of nature.
That was the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. And the man she was talking about is a major conservative fundraiser and judicial activist and a friend of the Thomases, a man known as Donald Trump's judge whisperer, Leonard Leo. As the executive director of the Federalist Society until 2020 and Trump's unpaid judicial advisor, Leo was the source for President Trump's list of approved conservative nominees for the Supreme Court. That is how we got Justices Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, through Trump's judge whisperer, through Leonard Leo. And in an epic new report today, Politico gave new meaning to Ginny Thomas's statement about Leo. He doesn't really tell all that he does, but I know enough to know the man is a force of nature. Soon after Leo became Trump's advisor in 2016, he amassed a sort of unnatural amount of wealth. He bought 2 multi-million-dollar mansions in Maine, along with 4 new cars, spots in private schools for his children, and a wine locker at Morton Steakhouse, which is, I don't actually know what a wine locker is, but it sounds fancy and also maybe unnecessary. Mr. Leo certainly didn't really tell the public how he bought all of that, but thanks to Politico, we now have a pretty good idea. Leo's personal wealth appears to have skyrocketed in tandem with major victories on the road to an ultra-conservative court. One day before the Senate took a controversial procedural vote clearing the way for Kavanaugh's appointment to replace Kennedy, that was the day Leonard Leo bought his first mansion up in the state of Maine. That lifestyle upgrade was reportedly funded by Leo's network of nonprofit organizations. Based on dozens of records from 2000 to 2021, Politico found that after he became a Trump advisor in 2016, Leo erected a for-profit ecosystem around his longtime nonprofit empire that is shielded from taxes. A network of political nonprofits formed by Leo moved at least $43 million to a new firm he is leading, raising serious questions about his conservative legal movement is funded. And that new firm declined to say what services it provided for the $43 million payments. A tax law expert told Politico that's a classic type of situation the IRS looks into if it appears you, via a nonprofit, are shoveling money to yourself in a for-profit context. Politico reporters say they sent Leo multiple requests for comment. He did not respond. We also reached out to Leo tonight about Politico's reporting. We have not yet heard back. But all of this together looks kind of bad. And it certainly raises questions about the influence of dark money on the nation's highest court. Joining us now is Melissa Murray, law professor at New York University and co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast. Melissa, thank you for being here tonight. Every time I was saying to you before this started, every time you're here, there's something explosive and terrible happening at the Supreme Court. Can you tell me how you read this? Because as I see it, what I sort of gleaned from this piece, it sounds like Leonard Leo, who is the architect of a conservative takeover of the judiciary, not just at the Supreme Court, but at federal courts across the country, is getting money from donors to maybe pick judges that have conservative donors' interests in mind, and then paying himself out to the tune of millions of dollars.
So I don't know that I was necessarily surprised to read this blockbuster reporting from Heidi Presbola. I will say there's been a lot of discussion over the years about this empire that Leonard Leo has constructed around himself, mostly a nonprofit empire for a long time until 2016, as you note, when he begins this for-profit extension where he has these consulting firms, and now the nonprofits are paying the consulting firm for certain services, but paying them in the tune of millions of dollars.
$43 million. I believe that was in 1 year for services that remain unexplained.
So it's, again, this is a man that we all knew had extraordinary outsized influence in Washington, particularly around the federal judiciary. Your reporting mentioned only the 3 Trump justices, but it goes much deeper than that. Donald Trump, the most successful aspect of his domestic agenda was the nomination of judges. It's really the only thing he was able to actually do as president on a domestic agenda. And Leonard Leo was absolutely pivotal to that, not just recommending or identifying individuals for the Supreme Court, but for the lower federal courts as well. And they did this amazingly well. They nominated and confirmed 54 Court of Appeals judges in 4 years. Barack Obama in 8 years nominated and confirmed 55. The Trump administration basically did that in half the time, and a lot of it was Leonard Leo, and a lot of it was vetting these individuals through their bona fides through Leonard Leo's Federalist Society.
Yes.
So all of this is sort of deeply intertwined. The Judicial Crisis Network, which is now the Concord Fund, which is also part of the Leonard Leo empire, is related to the Federalist Society, which Leonard Leo was the chairman of for many years, but now a step back as he runs this for-profit consultancy. It's a lot, and it's all, again, inextricably intertwined. There are all of these sort of shadow organizations providing funding that no one really knows about. And again, as you say, we don't understand what the funding stream is between these nonprofits and the for-profit consultancy that has emerged in recent years.
And these price tags are massive, right?
I mean, that should raise red flags for the IRS. I mean, the idea, as that tax professor who was mentioned in the reporting said, when you have a nonprofit funneling this amount of money at the scale to a for-profit that is somehow related or at least in the orbit of the nonprofit, it would raise red flags. But we've also seen over the last year the Republican Party and conservatives raising red flags about the IRS. It's partisan. It does this. I mean, and it seems like not looking into something like this, is that a correction, an overcorrection in response to claims that the IRS is somehow acting in a partisan fashion? Who knows? But it does seem like the idea of discrediting the IRS is maybe related to something like this, not allowing them to be viewed as legitimate if they were to investigate this kind of behavior.
I mean, Leonard Leo reaped a $1.6 billion windfall from a single donor in what is likely the biggest single political gift in U.S. history. He is getting $1.6 billion at the same time that the Supreme Court, and I'll focus there, is issuing some of the most conservative opinions it ever has and reshaping American life. Now, $1.6 billion is a hefty price tag, but if you think about what they're getting for their money, potentially, I mean, how do you think that there is going to be any oversight of the court, of what Leo's doing? Like, what is the road forward here and what seems so questionable, at least on the outside?
I think every time I appear on the show to talk with you about the Supreme Court, I always wind up saying at some point, this has got to be a really bad day for John G. Roberts, the Chief Justice of the United States, who more than anyone views himself as the institutional steward of the court. This is terrible for the court. I mean, we've already had over the last year reporting about a campaign to influence Supreme Court justices, buying buildings across from the court, and now this. I mean, if the public was already disenchanted with the court, wondering if something was up with the court, and maybe this is not the neutral arbiter that we thought it was, this is not going to help, and it's not going to make John Roberts' job as Chief Justice, the steward of the court's institutional legitimacy, any easier.
$1.6 billion. Just $1.6 billion. Melissa Murray, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for your felt outrage with me. I need it.